Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another book review. This time I'm going to review a book called The Gardener's Book of Colour by Andrew Lawson. Andrew Lawson is both a gardener and a photographer. Having a book about colour written by a dual skilled person is absolutely fantastic. Right, why did I buy this book? I was, as usual, browsing through the gardening section of a bookshop, and this book caught my eye. I started to leaf through it, and from that moment I could not put it down. The book is an old book. It was originally published quite a long time ago. I have to look up the publication date. I think it was originally published in 1996. Now, I have the paperback edition. So how accessible is this book? It's very, very accessible. It's a wonderful book to browse through, to dip into, to dip out of, and it is inspirational for any gardener. It comes in two sections. It comes in one section called Understanding Colour, and the second section is Gardening with Colour. I was very fortunate that I flicked it open on the book, on the page actually, where he deals with light and dark tones, and it was absolutely eye-opening. The only way I can describe this book is that I watched a programme by Andrew Hockney, and I truly believe I wasn't able to see properly and to see patterns and colours until I watched that programme. And in a way, we look at gardens, we look at the colour wheel, which is fairly standard and true to form. The first part of this chapter on understanding colour is the colour wheel. But I look at plants with a very, very different view. And I look at my garden with a different view since reading this book. Now, the Understanding Colour section is the eye-opening one. He starts with the colour wheel, but then he goes on to saturation. How deep is the colour? And the light and dark tones explained a lot to me about where you can look at two pictures of two different gardens. They both look fantastic, but then he showed the gardens photographed in black and white. Oh my goodness, what a difference. And that's when you could see why one garden was vibrant and the other was rather dull. And it wasn't in the colour, the layout, the plants. It was in the difference between light and dark tones. He also showed the influence of light on colour. He talked about colour distribution, and then he talks about density, shape and texture. And this section is absolutely fantastic. He then goes on to gardening with colour, and he shows almost every single colour that you could use for a one colour gardening scheme. Of course, we have the standard white garden. Who doesn't do that these days? The all green garden. But there were some very, very fascinating ones to me. An all red garden was interesting, all red borders, and the blue one was absolutely fascinating for the slightly eerie feeling it gave you. I mean, really, really fabulous. I live in a Gothic house. The temptation to put a blue garden in is quite amazing, but the trouble is that you can't find enough plants that go through the year for that sort of garden, but you can do sections of your garden. But again, what he showed me was the different emotions that the different coloured gardens evoke. Very interesting. And then he went on to harmonies, contrasts, mixed colours. Oh my goodness, when he looked at the harmonies, I kept saying, I want that one, I want that one, no, I want that one. And then, of course, the contrasts, I want that one, no, I want that one. So this is a wonderful book because he knows so much about gardening that it is an erudite book on plants, what they look like, their names. It's all properly labelled. He tells you what's in different planting schemes. So it's not just a book of pretty pictures. On the other hand, for a gardening book, because it's written by a photographer, the pictures are absolutely superb. So guys, if you can find a copy of The Gardener's Book of Colour by Andrew Lawson, and you want to really, really understand how to look at your garden properly, I do recommend this book. Bye bye.